9:07, 7 past 9.
89 WOS, Jake Hartford, John Cass. Here we are taking your calls at 591-8900.
It's good to be back, isn't it?
Yeah. It was like we never left.
Wow. John and I will be here until 11 o'clock.
And we're filling in for Bruce and Dan, and they're filling in for Don
and Roma, yeah. Everybody's been talking shopping and all that stuff, and it was the holidays and
food.
You had a couple things. You had protests at Walmart. In Chicago, they had protests down on Michigan Avenue Friday. And there's a phrase you're going to hear a lot of because it was a phrase that was being bandied about in Los Angeles last Wednesday, out in other cities around the country. It was like all of a sudden the phrase living wage is the hot new phrase. And the question becomes, what is a living wage? In Chicago, they were protesting Friday afternoon on Michigan Avenue. And they had these nice T-shirts. I don't know who's making up the T-shirts for all the protesters, but they're very nice shirts.
You think they got living wage to make those T-shirts?
Well, they want a starting salary in little, mom and pop, whether it's a franchise, hamburger place, coffee place, or whatever, $15 an hour. The current minimum wage in Illinois is $8.25, $8.25.
Right.
And they want to make it $15 an hour. And they say, well, we have to have that because we can't live on $15 an hour.
That might be true. But I can't live on paying $15 for a hamburger.
Or whatever it's going to be.
I already paid it. I paid 89 cents for a donut. That's how my diet went. Okay, it went out the window this morning.
Well, maybe if donuts were $2, you wouldn't be buying the donut.
Yeah, they should increase the donuts and fire me for buying them. But when you're trying to buy a donut, it's 89 cents. If living wage goes up, how much is my donut going to be?
It's going to go up.
Yeah,
and because I've talked to people that have small businesses, and my wife pointed something out. Every so often, she makes a very salient point. And she says these jobs in some of these little retail places, they're not meant for somebody to raise a family on. They're meant for somebody working part-time, whether it's kids going through high school or college or something like that. They're not meant to raise a family.
Right.
The economics are such you can't raise a family on that.
It is sold as a decent idea. Who would deny someone the right to make a few extra dollars with all that hard work? And it is hard work, and I've done it, and maybe you've done it, working a small shop doing grunt work like grinding sausage. But it costs the consumer money, and people don't have money to spend. I mean, I know that we went through Black Friday and Cyber Monday, but people are getting. You don't understand that when they increase the living wage to say if they do it to 15,
if they go from 8.25 to 15, your prices are going to go up dramatically on your cup of coffee or your little hamburger or whatever you're buying.
So who's paying for it?
And what may happen, you may see more empty storefronts.
Oh, you will.
Because people, the people that own these places, a lot of them are just barely getting by now when you factor in the insurance, the rent, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
There's a juice place. I think I went to it once. It's like a hipster kind of health food type of juice place. And they used to sell wheatgrass shots. So somebody made.
Oh, please.
Yeah,
don't tell me you had a wheatgrass shot.
Someone wrote columns wrote about wheatgrass shots, so I went there to have one to make fun of it. This was years ago. And I had a wheatgrass shot, and it basically tasted like somebody ground up some grass and, put in some
wheat
animal saliva and gave it to me to drink. But the point being, those places, if the wheatgrass shot is $10 because the guy behind the counter is making $15, they're not going to survive.
Dwayne on the south side. Good morning, Dwayne. Welcome to 89 WOS.
Hi, guys. How are you?
Hey, Dwayne.
Hey, I've been in the trades now for pushing a good 25 years, meaning like the home remodeling, contracting trades. We consider ourselves skilled labor, I guess would be the phrase attached to us, skilled labor. And today, if I went to go work for another guy, not on my own, working for, say, in your house or something, I could maybe get my $25 to $30 an hour out of working in your home. But if I go work for somebody else, I'm lucky if I'm going to get that $15 an hour. How in the heck do these guys think they're going to get it? And I'm not saying I don't want them to have a life. I, of course, want people to have a life. But my goodness gracious, without a skill, you're just somebody flipping a hamburger or working a cash register. It just seems absolutely ridiculous that you would get the same amount of money as a skilled electrician or a skilled plumber or a skilled carpenter.
Well, here's what my wife said. She said because the economy is the way it is, and people who went to college cannot get jobs for whatever they trained to do, they're now taking the jobs, these entry level part time, you would consider type jobs, and they still want to make the money they think they should be making because they've got expenses. So in other words, in your case, if it goes to 15 for somebody who's giving you a cup of coffee, you then theoretically should go from your 15 to 25 or whatever up to maybe 35 or 40.
That's how it's always been with the organized labor and the hard left wing that raises the minimum wage.
Well, as I've gotten older here, I'm 51 years old now, and I'm making less money now than I was making when I was 45. I mean, and way less, not even in comparison.
Yeah. Thank you, Dwayne.
Take care, guys.
That's the new number, 15.
And you wonder about these guys now. You see them, tradesmen early in the morning. We get up early, you come down to work here. I see guys getting out of their trucks, going to get donuts. All that is going to cost them more money. Coffee and donuts. I mean, it's like a luxury now.
And here's what was reported over the weekend, and I thought they were just making this up, but apparently it's true. In the lame duck session of the Illinois legislature, the Illinois minimum wage, which is right now $8.25, they're going to pass it so it goes up to $10.65. $10.65.
If you're a kid, if you're under 30,
that's a 25% increase.
But if you're under 30, that means you will not get a job at those little stores. You will not be hired. You won't even get a part-time job. They'll hire an older guy for that job. If they're going to pay that kind of money, they're not going to hire some kid in high school or in college.
We'll get back to your calls, 591-8900. It's 9:15. Time for traffic on the fives right here on 89 WLS. 9:16, John and Jake back here. And right now, the living wage calculation for City of Chicago and Cook County for one adult it comes out to $10.48 an hour.
Let me read
when you throw everything in.
There's a Tribune story on this. And it quotes a Parthenia Barnes, a single mother of 4, marched with her 14-year-old daughter, also named Parthenia. By the way, Parthenia means virgin. So she's a single mother of 4. But Parthenia Barnes says, we've got gas bills, light bills, heat. That's the worst. And trying to make sure they have a cell phone. Okay, so we have to get the kids cell phones. She took a job making $8.25 an hour at Macy's in the Farango Cafe and overseeing the ice cream counter after losing her job as a manager when a Fat Burger restaurant closed. Okay, so let me give you a tip, Parthenia Barnes. If you raise this minimum wage, probably those, the ice cream and the Farango and all that's going to go up and less people are going to buy them. Fewer people will buy that stuff. So you're basically cutting your own throat.
According to the chart, for one adult and 3 children, and she has 4 children, so it would be more than this number. The living wage for one adult and 3 children is $31.41 an hour.
But where do you get the cell phones? I mean, is that the Obama phone, or is that like you have to buy that?
I don't know, some plan, I guess. A good plan. Dave in Orland Park.
Hey, how are you?
Hey, Dave.
Well, the government, continues to step into the economy, and raising the minimum wage, in their mind, is increasing the tax base, which in Illinois, you pay 5% now, 66% raise from last year. So anybody that gets more money, the government's going to make more money. But unfortunately, they don't look at the other side, that exactly what you've just been saying, everybody's going to raise prices. Nobody can afford to increase wages. It's one of the largest part of small business is labor. You raise that, and you got major trouble.
My dad had a small business, and despite what Obama said, he actually did build that with my Uncle George. When they started pushing minimum wages years ago, as the minimum wage goes up, you know, you have kids in high school who want to work part-time, right? But if the minimum wage goes up, you're not hiring that kid from high school. You're hiring a college kid. And then that keeps going up and up and up. You're not even hiring the college kid. Because if you're paying that kind of money, you don't want to have to train, deal with it. You want production. And so the higher the wage, the fewer young people get jobs. I don't know what the statistics are. I'm just talking about what running a small business is like.
And when the economy is doing well, businesses will compete
Right.
for workers, and they will pay above the minimum wage, because I know businesses that do that. They pay more than the minimum wage because they have to get the workers. Ken in Granville. Good morning, Ken.
Good morning. How are you, gentlemen?
Okay.
Hey, it just drives me crazy. The first thing these people ought to do is get some kind of economic education, because they're ignorant of what actually happens in the economy. The reason people make $8.25 an hour is because there's plenty of people to fill $8.25 an hour jobs. If they raise their skill level, their education level, whatever's necessary, so that they make more money, then the employers, as you indicated already, Jay, would have to pay more in order to get somebody to do these jobs. The fact of the matter is, as long as you're trading time for money, your income's always limited. When you start trading knowledge and skill for money, that's when your income begins to be in your control. It is just infuriating to hear of a mother of four demanding more money. What happened to the father of these children?
Well, she needs more money. That's the thing. It's not what the job is worth for the pay she's getting. It's the fact that she needs more money.
I understand that.
Yeah.
Right.
Where's the father of these children?
Well,
I
she's
don't
a single mother of four, and her name's Parthenia, and I'm not
Thank you,
trying to
Ken.
make fun of her name, but I just find it ironic. But that's what happens. You have no skill. You have children out of wedlock. Guess what? That's no husband. This is what happens.
9:21. Back right after this.
Uh-oh. Sounds like somebody's got a case of the Mondays.
89 WLS. 89 WLS is breaking news, comprehensive coverage, and revealing insight. Chicago's talk leader, 89 WLS.
9:27 after the news at 9:30. At 9:37, we're going to have Mark Lazarus of the Sun Times talk about Notre Dame and
The big game coming up.
yeah. But right now, the big increase coming up. Workers want a living wage, $15 an hour.
And it doesn't matter if you're a small business that gets squeezed out of business. I guess what? Will the same leftist, socialist legislators come and bail you out? No.
Bill on the north side. Good morning, Bill.
Yeah, I just want to say I think it's good because all these years, these people that run these small little mom and pop stores hire people from other countries that don't even speak English. They pay them under the table. They're sneaking around, avoiding taxes on them.
They all do?
And a lot of them do. There's any store you take me any neighborhood, I'll get you some ethnic guy that's here illegally working under the table for cash, either a waitress or a sandwich making guy, a bag boy in a grocery store.
Hey, I grew up in a grocery store. Guess what? We paid everybody what they.
Well,
they
that's
were
you
worth.
because that's you.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's
Bill.
right, it's
Bill,
me.
but wait a minute. So I understand this. So if they come up with a $15 living wage, how is that going to change the people that are getting paid under the table, like you say?
Because they're not going to have to do it no more. Now
Why not?
$15, they're going to hire some kid from college to come over there and work it, and then all these guys are going to be out of work, which is good. I think it's great. I think it's a good thing.
Okay, thank you, Bill.
Okay, thanks, Bill.
I don't know. That doesn't make any sense.
I don't know. I guess maybe he didn't like some Greek guy once making a burger for him or something.
Because if they're
the thing is, if this is called America, right? So if I want to go into business and risk my life savings, who's going to tell me who I'm going to hire and for how much? Because when the profits don't come, does Ricky Munoz and the leftist coalition of Slim Colemans and all these other people, do they come to my father and say, hey, you know what? I know John and Pete couldn't go to college the way they wanted to because you didn't have a profit, but we're gonna give you the money? No. So who tells who you're going to hire and for how much? What nonsense.
Here's what will happen here. If you start making these businesses pay the $15 minimum, if that's what it comes to,
right,
everybody in government, they're going to want more money.
Oh yeah,
and who pays that? See,
You do.
people could vote with their pocketbook and their feet when it comes to buying your coffee or your hamburger at your little store. And if your prices are too high, they can go elsewhere.
Right.
But if government raises the wages for all their people, because they're going to want wage increases too, you can't vote with your. Well, you can. You can move out of state. I guess you can do that. Anyway, we're going to talk Notre Dame football when we come back. It's 9:30, time for Dave Stewart with news, weather, and traffic right here in 89 WLS.
Turn to 89 WLS, always, for forecasts from America's most dependable.